Welcome to episode number 260 of the Canadian Prepper Podcast. We are recording February the 2nd, 2025. Name's Eric, host of the show, based in Southern Ontario, hunter, target shooter, ham radio operator, and of course, computer geek. As a first responder, witnessed an over-reliance on emergency services during major events, started a small preparedness company to help people get better prepared for at least 72 hours, if not longer.
And I'm Jeff. I am based in Central Ontario. I'm a target shooter, ham radio operator, general overall handyman, and weather nerd.
And I'm Brad. I'm in Eastern Ontario, part-time prepper, constantly trying to better myself, failing miserably at the moment.
And I'm Terry, live in sunny Central Ontario. I'm the official Grand Poobah of the annual Preppers Meet, a starving indie author, terrible hunter, pathetic fisherman, and thinking seriously now about Toyotas.
And if you want to help support the show, you can buy some swag. We have both the Canadian Prepper Podcast t-shirt and the tactical Velcro patch at www.prepperpodcast.ca. All the proceeds help to cover our podcast costs.
And if you're enjoying the show, please take a few minutes to submit a review wherever you have found us. We want your feedback, even if it's bad. We also invite you to reach out and tell somebody about something you learned this week. You can email us at feedback@prepperpodcast.ca.
All right, so we've got some mutually beneficial content for you in this episode. We'll start out with some recent news. We'll update you on our personal prep since the last episode. We're going to get into the main topic. We're talking mutual assistance groups. So, into the news. Unless you've been living under a rock, you probably already heard about this one. Trump has launched some tariffs, 25% on most goods. That's going to be interesting.
Yeah.
Yeah, Canada just put their list out of their retaliatory, I guess, tariffs, if you want to call it. And Doug Ford from Ontario has come out and said no more American alcohol in the LCBO. Yep. Apparently last year they said it was near, was it $1 billion worth of American alcohol that went through Ontario's LCBO? He's saying no more.
Yep, crazy.
Other provinces have stepped in and said the same thing. They're not going to bring any American alcohol into their liquor stores and stuff. So it's going to be interesting. I mean, let's face the facts. We can't win an economic war against the U.S. They're that big. Nope. But we can we're here. Something about death by a million cuts. Well, who knows? We're just gonna have to see what happens. So,
yeah, like I'm all for supporting Canadian products and Canadian made things. Always been that way though. That's nothing new. But either way, this is gonna sting no matter what way we look at it. It's not going to be good for either side, right?
No.
As much as I'm mad at old Donald for doing this, we brought the goddamn thing on ourselves. We neglected our border. We neglected our friggin' our judicial system, our drugs and gangs and crap. We brought it on us. Neglected our military. We brought it on ourselves. And no one to thank but those that rule us.
Fair enough.
Anyway, that's my humble opinion. And for news, well, sadly, this is overshadowed now by the trade thing, but the report on the foreign election interference was out, and it's disturbing. You really should take time to watch these two videos I put on there because they're really, really good. And then you got to ask yourself one question. Why is none of this on the mainstream media? This is serious shit, boys and girls. Serious shit. And again, another reason why the Donald is mad at us.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
I got a good question in the live chat here from Justin saying, thought your PM resigned. Sort of?
Sort of.
Kinda? He sort of, kind of, maybe did?
Kind of, not really, but yeah.
But he didn't? Yeah, it's...
Well, he says he will after they pick a new leader of the party, but that's not going to be for a couple more months at least. Yeah. And who knows what's going to happen in those couple of months. He may decide, you know what? Things are just too bad and nobody else can do it but me, and I'm just going to have to hang around.
Yep.
The timing of this trade war couldn't be any worse.
Yep.
Why couldn't Donald wait another 6 months till we had an election and we got a decent government in that maybe he could work with? But no, he had to do it now.
You just said the word right there, Terry. Decent government.
Yeah.
he went for the
when did we
weakness,
have one
right?
of those last?
Yeah.
Probably not.
Anyway,
But hey,
Yep.
what can we do?
we'll see what it brings. And in the preparedness world, it doesn't really change much. Just carrying on,
Right.
and
Life goes on, man. What
Yep.
can we do?
And maybe just keep at your preps a bit more than you were and see what happens.
Yep.
Mhm.
It's a good time to reflect and stock up on what you think you need and go over things and check them over, because things are going to get interesting, especially for the next 4 years.
Mhm.
Yep.
Let's hope it doesn't last that long.
Yeah.
Well, we'll see. All right, we'll move into what we've done lately for preps and kick it off with Brad.
Work. Some more basement improvements.
Mm-hmm.
A little bit of exhaust work on the wife's truck. She's got a small leak and I think it's a flange and a bolt rusted out, whatnot, and trying to get that all fixed up. But I have no hoist, and it's the winter time, so this is lots of fun outside. Of course, some more work, and then and other than that, it's pretty boring. It's the winter.
Yeah,
Count the days.
winter
Count the
sucks.
days till spring when the snow goes. Bye bye.
Mm-hmm. And then we complain about the heat.
Yeah.
I will never complain.
And the
about
mosquitoes and the black flies and yep. I didn't do a lot. I've been really busy. Unlike other people who hate the winter, I love it. I volunteer and work for the local snowmobile club, and I'm going pretty well every day doing something with them. So keeping me out of trouble. I've done some fuel rotation. I did some food prep. I'll be doing more of getting more into the food prep stuff in the next couple of weeks now that things are sort of moving in a different direction, and we'll see what happens from there.
All right, for myself, stumbled across Prepared Medical about 2 weeks ago or so now, and it actually showed up the other day, so I was pretty happy with that. And it's like a antibiotics kit / allergy / all kinds of other different ailments and such, and it's Canadian based. And I figured I'd try them out and see what happened. And I gave them my benefits card, my ID, and a whole bunch of stuff showed up. I didn't pay a dime for it. So medical preps, check. Filled in a couple of gaps there of things I've been trying to kind of stockpile and put together for a while. And some things that you just simply can't get without a prescription, we've now got. So it was a fantastic find. I'll throw a link in the live chat here too. I've pushed it out all over the place. So if anyone's looking, legit. And all the things showed up as they promised, and they billed my benefits, and I didn't pay a thing. So can't complain about a free prep.
Never.
Goose
No, then
eggs
beyond
are
that-
the best ones.
Oh yeah. And then beyond that, it's been work, some more work, and then travel for work, and then work. Yay.
Me, I haven't done much because I've been sick all week. I spent my time reading and studying. And I'm still just getting over this damn strep throat thing. So if I got to bow out quick tonight and Eric's got to take over, forgive me because I'm having a coughing fit.
Game on. We'll make it work. That's for sure. All right. Well, with that, we'll move into the main topic. And tonight we're talking mutual assistance groups. It's a topic that Terry wanted to go over and kind of lead. So we're going to give him the reins tonight and let him go. And hopefully he doesn't hit a coughing fit and have to hand things over. So we'll let you kick her off, Terry. And as usual, we'll do a roundtable chat and we'll jump in as we see fit. And of course, the live chat as well. Jump on in.
I'm going to give it a try. Okay, so let me begin with some shameless self-promotion. So here we go. If you've read my books, you'll know that I'm a big believer in mutual assistance groups because I spent a lot of time in there talking about them. If you haven't read them, God support a starving Ford owner, like I need all the help I can get, okay? Okay, so we've all heard of the lone wolf preppers or lone wolf people out there. Some are probably listening. May consider ourselves just that, but as glamorous as it sounds, fending for yourself, tucked away in a cabin in the middle of nowhere, is with your trusty dog and your gear. No one to answer to but you. However, reality dictates it's next to impossible to be a lone wolf. Just providing security 24/7. Just think about that. Security 24/7. Can't do it. It's impossible. Sometime or another, you're going to nod off and you're going to have a snooze.
Yep.
So, and then what if you get sick like me? And I've been down for 2 weeks with this freaking thing and you just can't do stuff. done the best I could do is drag some firewood in for the stove, and that's about it.
Oh, it's a good point, though. Even just looking at the security portion, without even looking at anything else that you have to worry about, just thinking about that,
just that
one person can't pull that off for an extended period. You might be able to do a day, maybe 2 tops, but by day 3, you're done. Like it's you got to sleep, so you're not going to be able to pull a 24/7, 365 security detail alone. And some people will say, well, the dog will step in.
No.
Okay, for a little bit, but as you need people around to do a proper security setup along with everything else, right?
Mm-hmm.
But just the security thing alone kind of piques the mind into, oh yeah, you're right. You need at least 2 people for that, and probably a few more because you're going to tire yourselves out.
3 people, you're one is sleeping 8 hours, 2 are up, and you're rotating all the time like that is what my understanding is for the best scenario, so to speak.
Mm-hmm.
So
it depends on your setup and what it is you're securing and where you are. There's all kinds of variables,
and the big thing is, at least from my end, what's Terry got right now? He's sick. You wear yourself down. You're not getting the proper rest. You're not getting. Guess what? You're going to get sick. This is going to happen.
The other side to that too, Jeff, is what if you get injured?
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
Now what do? You can't move. You're 150 feet from your cabin, and all of a sudden you fall in a gopher hole and break your ankle, smack your head on the ground, and it's getting cold outside. Are you waking up?
Yeah.
Yeah. It's a tough goal.
And Justin in the live chat there's got a good comment as well. In some areas, including ours, he says it's difficult to find like-minded people who are not batshit crazy or creepy. It's just a matter of finding the people that aren't that, and it's not always easy. But I know a place, Annual Preppers Meet.
Unfortunately, in a case like that, Justin, you have to kind of put yourself out there and be a little bit vulnerable and in the open to try to find somebody else. Yep, and then once you find 2 or 3 people, okay, close yourself down again and work on what we're doing tonight is talking about building a mag. Start with one person. But unfortunately, you got to put yourself out there.
And I'll throw it out there too. If you're not already in the Discord, there's a section dedicated to mutual assistance groups. You can even pop in there. Not saying that everybody in there, there's not the odd batshit crazy or creepy person in there, but for the most part, it's a good crew with a lot of knowledgeable folks. So hop in there and see who's in the mutual assistance group that maybe is in your area or close by, and go from there. But I feel your pain. There's of course going to be some interesting folks in this area, but they're far and few between.
I hate to say it, Eric, but you're going to have to take over this for me.
Yeah,
I can't stop coughing. I'm just
right.
going to mute my mic and sit here and smile.
That's perfect. So Justin also mentions that he has amateur radio clubs in the area, farmers markets, etc. Right there, 2 great spots to look. My experience in the amateur radio world, and I didn't know this going into it, there's tons of people with a preparedness mindset. I had no idea. And yeah, lots of them are in radio because they want it for emergency communications. And it means they've got an emergency preparedness mindset. Yeah, there's some oddballs and some, crazy people in there too, but you get that everywhere, no matter what kind of group. There's even oddballs and crazy people at the farmers markets, etc. So you get them everywhere, right? You're never going to avoid them. Right? So, but you've already got a couple of good spots to start looking there, Justin. So go from there, hop in the Discord and check things out from there.
Absolutely.
So where did we leave off?
And the other thing is having the mag. I'll kind of help out here too. Is it gives you better skill sets. One person can't be everything. So maybe you've got somebody in your mag who's a doctor or a dentist or a paramedic or something, and they have those advanced first aid skills. Somebody who's good with their hands, a carpenter. You're always kind of building things, fixing things. A farmer or a horticulturalist, or somebody who's got the green thumb and can actually grow things without killing them, unlike me. So,
But,
and of course, that all kind of goes back to, as somebody said, the prepper phrases we have is, 2 is 1 and 1 is none. So,
Yep.
Yeah, maybe we should rewind for a second here. And we've already dropped a term that most of us, at least on the panel, are familiar with, and obviously a couple folks in the live chat are familiar with, but not all the listeners are going to be familiar with even what a mutual assistance group, or we commonly refer to it as a MAG, is. Right? It's just a community of individuals or families working together for mutual support in preparedness, survival, emergency situations, etc. So it's a group of like-minded people that are all set out to just look after each other, help out in times when they're tough, work together in times that are good, and just work towards a common goal. So all of you are, looking to prepare for a certain situation of some sort. You all have that goal in mind already. So instead of being, like Terry started out with, the lone wolf that is not going to be able to accomplish everything effectively, you put that group mentality towards a single goal, and you help each other out, and you've got each other covered off in times of need. And that's kind of the basic definition of what a MAG is, to kind of bring everybody up to speed as to what do they mean, mutual assistance group, MAG, what are they talking about? So that's what it is.
Something to think about here. I totally agree with everything you just said, Eric. It is what a MAG is. And Justin, you were looking for where to find people. If you live in a subdivision and there's a neighborhood watch, you've already started a MAG.
That's a great point. Yeah, everybody overthinks the whole MAG thing. Okay? It could be as simple as that. The neighborhood watch. That's a fantastic example right there. Everybody's helping each other out to ensure the safety of the neighborhood.
A hockey team is a MAG.
Yeah.
Everybody in the
working
hockey
towards
team
common
wants
goal.
everybody else to succeed. So if somebody's car breaks down and you're the goalie, the starting goalie for the game, somebody's coming to get your butt, get you to the game. Well, they just mutually assisted you in this group.
You just validated this being a Canadian prepper podcast with the hockey example. It's fantastic.
Sweet. Awesome. Good. Best thing I could think of on the fly right there. But it's absolutely true. Any kind of organized sport is a MAG. Everybody's interest is the same, and they all mutually assist everybody else in their group to have a common goal, to win the game, to win the trophy, all of those things. All of those same principles you have in the organized sports, you can now shift that over into this kind of MAG and start asking people, hey, like Justin said, even though I saw there he's one of the younger people in his group and he's a grandfather, but still you can
I got a
pass
chuckle out of that
to
comment.
others that's a good way to start, is with that group, with that sports team. And
one of the, at least for me, one of the bigger things of a MAG, as much as it's assistance and all that stuff we talk about, it's emotional support. Being alone in that kind of a situation is not going to be easy. You've got other people that they're kind of in the same boat, so you can rely on them, as the old example says, a shoulder to cry on, or emotional support, somebody validating that what you're doing is the right thing and you're going in the right direction and stuff like that. It doesn't have to be during an emergency, but that's usually when MAGs are really going to get going. But I just think the emotional support thing is pretty big.
100%. Yeah, everybody always focuses, especially in the preparedness world, when we start talking about MAGs, the only time they think about it is when you hit that shit hit the fan situation. That's when they think things activate, and that's when you start going to the MAG and using it. And 100%, that is one of the times where you're going to lean on it. You're going to lean on it hard. But during times when they're good as well, you're going to lean on that group for, like Jeff said, emotional support, for, you know, helping out with things like Brad mentioned in the hockey example there. Your car breaks down, someone can come and help you out, right? Like it's not just in that doom and gloom kind of scenario. It's throughout life, as things are good, as they're kind of mediocre, and as they're bad. You've got that little tight-knit group to kind of help out and get you through things, right?
Yep. Also, the military doesn't start training when war happens. They train before.
That's also a very good point. Yep.
So same thing here, that start preparing your mag now. Put the questions out there. Put your feelers, so to speak, out there to find out who's like-minded in your community, and and in those sports groups and in that community watch, if you have it, start trying to figure out who it is, and you get one person to help to join your group, your partnership, I guess, at that point, and talk to somebody else, talk to somebody else, talk to somebody else, talk to somebody else. Hey, now you got a whole group there.
The chances are that one person is going to have another connection close by that is also of the emergency preparedness mindset, and it'll just start growing from there. And then
the challenge is vetting prospective people, because, you know, as we discussed earlier, there's some colorful characters out there. So don't just throw all the cards on the table as soon as you meet somebody. Take some serious time to feel things out, you know, interact with one another a bit over a period of time, and maybe share a few dinners together, or a few drinks together, or a little range time together, or something to get to know one another before you lay out too much, because just like anything else, you can pick up some good folks, and you can pick up some bad folks, and they may not necessarily be bad, but next thing you know, they're going to go and tell someone, oh, I know somebody that's got all kinds of shit at this place. And maybe we should pay him a visit. You just be very, 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 very careful in vetting people, and don't be too open and friendly and sharing too much information about yourself until you really got a good feel for them.
Stranger danger, right?
Yeah, I'm not great at forming, you know, opinions right off the bat. I'm not good. Some folks got a talent; they can pick it up right off the bat, but I'm slow at it, and I really have to be careful. But
the other part about that is, I get when you say getting to know them, this may be difficult to do, but how are they going to respond in an emergency? Are they going to jump in and are they going to be that person? Or are they going to freeze and go, oh, wait a minute, I didn't sign up for this, and I didn't think it was going to be this, and now all of a sudden you've just got dead weight.
Yeah,
that's a great point too. And that kind of comes into just establishing everybody's strengths and weaknesses, right? Because everybody that you do kind of collect into your mutual assistance group is going to have some sort of a strength, some form of a weakness. And that's where you kind of get into, after you've vetted everybody, kind of built your small little group, you start kind of figuring out, okay, what is our common goal here? What is it that we're preparing for? Then what is it that everybody is good or bad at? And, you know, it's hard to focus on the what are we bad at part, but you have to. Right. And it's not like I'm trying to shame people for not being good at one thing, but good at the other. It's literally just figuring out what your strengths and weaknesses are and playing off of them. And of course, helping build up that weakness in the person. So maybe someone's really good at one thing, but they're terrible at the other. Each other helps each other kind of build up that skill set, so that you've got a little bit more of a stronger base of something you're weak in. You won't ever get up to that full proficiency level that the other person has, most likely, but you can get to the mid-level where you can step in and help if need be, and vice versa, because everybody's got the strength and weakness. So figuring that out while times are good and you've got the time to sit down and kind of plan things out is pretty important. But that's after you vet them, of course, and sort out the crazies. Yeah, you got to vet them. It's very important.
Okay, if Justin wants to join our mag, I'm just going to talk to his wife.
I see the comment there. He says, "Don't worry, my wife can tell you everything I'm bad at."
They usually do.
Yeah, not going to touch that one with a 10-foot pole, Justin.
No,
leave that sit.
No,
but yeah, it's important to, you know, we've given kind of a couple of general examples of what a mag could be in a couple of, outside of the preparedness world examples. But just knowing that there's a group of folks that are preparedness mindset is important, as you all want to kind of build on that common goal to get through whatever scenario it is everybody's commonly kind of planning for. And it could be multiple, I'm going to refer to just one scenario, but it could be multiple scenarios that you're kind of getting ready for. So making sure that everybody has that preparedness mindset, and they're kind of, you're all pushing towards common goal is important. And you want clear roles and clear goals in your group, right? That's kind of important. It takes a little bit of time and a lot of trust to build up, and you're not going to do this overnight. It's not going to be like, hey, we're all on the same hockey team. Let's go for coffee, and we're going to prepare for the zombies, right? Like it takes time, right? It takes time to build this up and figure out who's looking to prepare for what and who has the mindset. And quite honestly, some people just don't. And the second you mention preparedness, they're going to think you're one of those crazies that we talked about at the beginning, even though you're not.
Doomsday prepper.
Exactly. Right. So you got to be prepared for that as well. But building that group and finding those individuals is, yes, difficult and tricky to do, but worth its weight in gold if you can find them.
Yeah, I'll agree with that one. Still trying to find people around here.
Yeah, and that's the trick, right?
It's difficult, right?
People is difficult.
It's difficult, and they can be very good friends in real life, but when it comes down to preparedness, it's a different ball game. They're not on the same. They're not the same game as you are, and how do you deal with that, right? There's so many dynamics involved in this group thing, right? Who do you invite in, and who do you not? And if you do get somebody in there and they turn out to be a loon, how the hell do you get rid of them? Right? It's very, very serious topic. You probably have a whole show just on talking about that one in itself. You really need to establish, what's going on with your group and boundaries, expectations, guidelines, different things like that. Have a charter, define roles, who's going to be the doctor, who's going to be the logistics guy, security guy, etc. Clear communications. And, there's a lot of details and people need to get along and be able to back one another
very
up.
Important. Yes, very important. And you named off some of the key roles there, but you also have to identify the people that are the backup for that role.
Yes.
Right?
Yes.
Which is important as well. So
that's important. And there's nothing nicer, or there's no finer feeling than knowing that somebody's got your back and you can count on them. It takes a while to build that rapport up with people.
Yep.
Where you can count on them through thick or thin.
That's true. And setting those roles out and setting those clear responsibilities and goals can be a little bit tricky with a group too, right? Because if you got 5 people that want to be the doctor, nobody that wants to be the ham radio guy, and I don't see how that would happen, but
no.
And one person that wants to be security, kind of dishing out those roles and responsibilities is going to get tricky.
Yeah. And speaking of roles, just like Eric said, everybody wants to be the doctor, but there's all kinds of jobs that need to be done, and some people are better suited for jobs than others, and we have to assign roles for people, and they have to stick with them roles. And just an example is medical, mechanical, gardening, security, communications, and then we got a bit of cross training and being able to learn and share back and forth with one another on how to do this.
I do agree. I do agree as well that you should have a backup for sure to do some cross training with this, that, whatever.
Yeah.
To make sure that there's somebody else to be able to pick up the slack, so to speak. If it should happen,
people,
something happens.
They get ill.
Exactly.
People get sick, and they might need a day off for one reason or another, or they have family problems, or someone dies, or whatever the case may be. So you don't want to be left, stuck. Let's see, what can we talk about? Cross training, redundancy, sharing resources. There's a topic on its own. How far do you go with sharing resources if you're a mutual assistance group? What if you brought in 2 years worth of food supply, and Joe down the road, he's only got enough for a week, but he's pretty handy at fixing tractors. So, it's all this stuff's got to be worked in and negotiated, right?
Well,
Yeah,
I was just going to say, you work with him or her, whoever you work with them to build their preps up and say to him, hey, like, have that conversation. Well, if something happens, what do you got? Well, I've got this. Well, okay, what can we do to help you to get that from here up to here, right?
Absolutely.
So,
and there's part of that community building right there. Get everybody involved to build, like Jeff said, to build Joe up to say,
yeah,
he was here, let's take him to here. How do we get him there?
yeah,
yep.
What all does he need? Who in our group can help him with what division or what section of helping him to get to where we want him to be, to now open him up to all of us.
Yeah. And that's how we build group dynamics, right? Just to work with one another to get ourselves all up to that point. Hey,
And it'll also show you who in your group that you have already had join is really worthwhile keeping around. If they're not willing to help others, why am I willing to help you?
Yeah, exactly. A lot of dynamics involved in this stuff. A lot of stuff.
Dynamics and dealing with people? No way.
It happens every so often,
Yeah. Yeah. And then you throw in stressful situations like shit hitting the fan or whatever it is you're preparing for happening. Dynamics are a real thing. It's probably the biggest hurdle you're going to run into, on top, adding in just finding the people. Once you find them, that's going to be your number one hurdle, is figuring out the group dynamics, figuring out, who gets along with who, personalities, that kind of stuff. It's
who's an
and then dealing with personalities that are sometimes a little difficult to get along with.
It's clashing personalities and then egos on top of that just don't help, right? Mutual assistance groups they sound great and they sound like the best thing that you should ever put together, but it is a ton of work.
Yeah, it's not easy.
You really don't think about because of just basically politics and people.
Yeah.
But it's totally doable. Not trying to rain on anybody's parade.
No.
You can make it happen and it can work. It's just there's a lot of heavy lifting and a lot of just peopling.
Yes.
And to quote Pierre, I hate people.
I was just about to say that. Don't have Pierre do it because he hates the people.
Yeah. Another important aspect is practicing, doing different practices together, working together, even if it's just, helping one another out with firewood and stuff, just preparing things, anything to build a little bit of teamwork and working together stuff. But other things need to be set down and discussed and prepared for as well. What are we going to do if? What are we going to do if? All those things need to be discussed. And again, it takes time to get to that point, but you got to get there eventually and practice your skills together, work together, camp together, learn how to do different jobs together. And again, that goes into your group dynamics. You quickly learn who you can get along with and who you can't.
And it lets you see what equipment and specialized tools and whatnot other people have.
Yeah.
And that goes back to the cross training section there of, if Jeff has this and I don't, but somebody else needs to know how to use it, how do we do that? Right.
And if you got time, then it's a good time that, okay, if we're missing something, then maybe now's the time to get together and pick something up. Sometimes it might be a cost sharing thing because some things are a lot of money, right? So then how do you deal with that, right? How do you deal with if you have a little breakup in the group? How do you deal with that $5,000 food dehydrator you just bought together as a group, right? All these,
that's I don't want to have to deal with that, but I understand you completely with trying to deal with that. And it's something that can happen and most likely has happened in other places. But...
Oh, I'm sure it has. Yeah. Because, that's a big expense. If one of us individually, great. If you can afford to buy one, great, but I can't. So how are you going to do it? So, you go together with a few other people, you want to make damn good sure you can get along well before you do it.
Yeah.
The other thing that often comes up is communications. Like if you have a group of people and you're spread out over a little bit of distance, how are we going to communicate with one another? Can we just, is it wise to just go on the open airways and have a conversation? Or do we need to encrypt it somehow or some other means of communication? How do we find one another if something goes bad?
Yeah, something to prearrange ahead of time is
All that
meetups
has to
and
be
code
done.
words and
Mm-hmm.
rendezvous points and
Yeah.
that kind of stuff. And I know
Yeah.
a few people that they've asked already if they can, where they could put some things locally to others that kind of hide things, stash things here, there, wherever.
Always a good idea if
Yep.
you can trust the folks that are there.
There you go.
They're going to let you in when something goes bad. Oh, this guy's got 5 years of food stashed in a sea can. Let's keep him out, but we'll keep the food. You know, all those things have got to be thought about. Oh yeah, let's see what else I got on my list of things here to do. Collaborating with other groups. Like, you know, there's several different groups. Like, it's pretty hard if you think you don't want a group spread over, 200 kilometers apart. You're better off to have a small group of people in your area that are close together. And maybe you're affiliated with another small group of people 50 kilometers away and another one that's maybe 70 kilometers away. And again, you can kind of have a broader group of groups, right? Which is not a bad idea either. It can work out to your advantage and it can work out to your disadvantage too if somebody decides they're gonna rage and take your stuff. But a lot of scary stuff with these mutual assistance groups. But anyway,
I definitely think they're worthwhile. Like
I
I
do
said,
too.
if you work at it and get to that point where everybody's comfortable with everybody,
Yeah.
Maybe not everybody gets along, but you all understand the end goal.
Yeah.
In mind, but it's
Yeah.
like any town, right? Nobody's going to get along with everybody, but you all
No.
understand that you're there for a reason.
Yeah, that's for sure. That's for sure. And I suppose we also got here is conflict resolution. How are you going to resolve conflicts? Somewhere in your group, rules and regulations, you got to have some kind of a means of solving conflicts. It's a majority rules kind of thing, or how it's going to be. That kind of has to be set out, and everybody has to be in agreement of it before you get too involved with things too. Again, right? Because you're going to have conflict.
To be established.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Conflict resolution is huge.
Yeah.
And incredibly difficult to implement.
Yeah.
Everybody agrees on it now. Well, everything's good, but one person goes offside a little bit, and it's time to implement that.
Yeah,
I guess tricky. Who's going to be the person to implement it, right?
Yeah. They don't want to be the one that gets the discipline. That's for sure.
Mm-hmm.
Even though, like you said, they agreed on it. They don't want to have it.
Yeah. You need a strategy to deal with that.
I like the comment Gary T puts in there. His rule number 2: don't do something to make us make a rule.
That's a good rule.
It does not get better than that.
Good rule.
That's a good rule.
I like it.
Phil, I don't think we're going to get to that point. Thunderdome there, 2 men enter, 1 man leaves, but good suggestion.
Yeah.
Justin, again, with a great comment. I would worry about people maintaining motivation. Here in the States, prepping got really lax in the first Trump administration for a lot of people. Fantastic point. At the beginning, everyone's rah, rah, rah. Let's do this. Let's set out for the goal. This is awesome. 2 weeks in, one person kind of falls off that track.
Yeah.
Month in, another person kind of falls off that track. 2 or 3 months in, one person is still rah, 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 let's go. And everyone else is like, well, nothing's happened.
Yeah. So we all suffer from that.
Carry on. Yeah. Right. And it's that's a human thing, right? That's not every single person is going to have that. It's not slinging mud at just certain people. everybody is like that, right? So yeah, being able to keep the group motivated and keep them focused on the goal and keep them moving towards that goal is everybody's responsibility in the group, right? It's
Yes.
because at any given point, everybody's going to go through that lull of, I don't really feel like doing it right now. So someone else has to pick everybody else up and come on, let's go, keep moving. Tricky to do.
Yeah,
but
it
it's
really
got to
is.
be done, or you'll find yourself hitting that moment that everybody was kind of set out to prepare for 3 years ago. You'll hit that moment, and everybody will go, "Oh yeah, we were going to meet at spot A," and everybody meets at spot A and goes, "Now what? We haven't done anything like the last 2 years. What do we do?" Right?
Yeah.
So keeping that going is very, very important.
Yep. Sustaining motivation.
And a fun human behavior to combat.
It is. What else we need to talk about? When you disappeared there for a bit, Eric, we brought up about communicating with one another if we're spread apart a little ways. And what's the idea of going just jump out on the open airways, or do you want to be discreet about it and have some kind of a more secure communication or some kind of code or passwords or things to communicate with, right? Rather than just, jumping out there and talking to people. Who knows who's listening sometimes, right?
That is a fantastic point, and I will squirrel for a second on that point. So there's all kinds of options that
I know we would.
I'm going to squirrel on it. There's all kinds of options that you can get into with your level of communication, and it could be as simple as we're going to use this end-to-end encrypted app on our phones because the cell networks are still operating. Right? Everybody goes into that mode of, oh, we're in the situation we've been planning for, so it means like apocalypse and nothing works anymore. No. Maybe it's something where the cell system is still operational and functional. Rely on that infrastructure because it's massive. So use it. Fall back on an end-to-end encrypted application that everybody's comfortable with, and use that for your communications. Or fall back into, radio is another good one. Encryption is kind of it's not necessarily a no-no on ham radio, but the code you're using has to be published. Radio Amateurs of Canada has actually just recently made a page available for anybody that wants to play around with encryption on a radio, where you can publish that code. And they've cleared it with Industry Canada, and they've said, okay, that would count as publishing the code because it's publicly available to anybody. So you could play around with encryption while times are good. And then you're comfortable with it. And the code is published, so anybody can technically use it. But first they have to figure out that you're the person using it. And there's all kinds of things that go down with that. But if you've got that and you've practiced using the encryption on the air while times are good, and once things fall apart and you're comfortable with, going against what the rules and regulations are, flip the code a little bit. And you've already practiced with it. You already know how to do it. And now away you go, and you've got encrypted communication. It's never foolproof. Encryption can always be broken. It's made by humans. But you've got a little bit more hidden communications that way. Or if you're happy with it being out in the air, just regular ham radio is fine as well, or FRS, GMRS, etc. is perfectly fine level communication as well. It all kind of depends on what it is you're looking to do. But we're going to nerd out pretty hard on ham radio next week, just as a little spoiler for folks. So ham radio episode next week. I'm a little excited about it. But there you go. There's a little taste of some communications squirreling that I just went off on, but there's all kinds of different things you can do in a group, and it depends on the technical abilities of everybody in your group, right? Everybody's got to be on the same playing field in order to use the technology to talk to each other. So lots of different swirling moments when it comes to communications in the mag.
Someone had a question for me at one time, and the question was, wow, is there any way you could put a little sign up or some kind of symbol up so that people could see, if they're out traveling around and they're lost and they're looking for a place to go? Oh, this guy's a prepper guy, and maybe he'll take me in. I have two minds about that one too, because the wrong people can get can find that information out and they, oh, that's a nice place. All right, I'll mark that in my little book. If shit hits the fan, then I'll we can go back there and raid that place. So, you know, on one hand, I don't know if it's a great idea or not. Prepper types tend to be a rather untrusting lot, I think. And
I have a sign.
You do?
Yep.
Your radio sign? Your antenna?
Nope. Something along the lines of no trespassing. Don't cross this line. You know. That
Oh,
kind
okay.
of stuff. Yep.
That's a good one.
Oh wait, that's the untrusting prepper. Never mind.
That's specifically for me, right? Yeah, I know.
Wasn't gonna go there, Jeff. A couple other good comments in the live chat here. Again from Justin, just talking about NVIS is pretty effective. We'll touch on that next week. Next week, Justin. So definitely be nerding out about NVIS for sure. And Gary asks in the live chat, what about Meshtastic? Is it any good? Tune in next week. Gonna nerd out about that a little bit too.
Well, there you go.
It's okay. It's Meshtastic depends. A lot of things depend in the tech world. And Phil's got a good rebuttal to the signs as well. Sign that usually reads "keep out." Yeah, I said no trespassing, but keep out's a little bit more. Yeah, I like that.
Or I seen a sign the other day. Somebody posted it. Well, it's been there for a while, but it just basically says, if you can read this sign, you're in range.
Yeah.
That's all the sign says. If you can read this sign, you're in range.
In range of your bifocals?
Is that
you
like trespassers?
That, whatever you want.
Is that like trespassers will be shot? Survivors will be shot again?
Very close to that, yeah.
Shot again.
Oh,
bodies will be processed because I have a tractor. No body, no crime. You know.
Oh, boy.
Anyway.
And you can find these signs at your local farmer's market while you're looking for preparedness-minded individuals.
Yeah.
If you go and buy one, walk around with it, and people will know what you're up to.
Yeah, you don't want to put that out there too much.
No,
because
it's true.
You get a visit by some of Eric's friends, maybe.
Yes, inviting you into the mag.
Oh dear. Well, let's see. What's some key takeaways we got? Mags are about preparedness, trust, and collaboration, and they really are. And it takes time to build that trust, and small steps lead to significant and collective gains. So, take your time, work at it, and just keep learning. There's some good books out there on mag groups and forming mag groups and so on. That's maybe worth checking into. I don't particularly have a book on it, except for my little fiction book, but they're out there because I looked them up on Amazon. So they're out there. And I don't know, anybody know any good books on mags or things that you can that you've read?
No, nothing that I can think of there.
Okay, we don't give this enough thought, do we?
But I know in our Discord, if you join up and you get a hold of Darius, he has a quite extensive knowledge on different areas of mag preparedness and the goings on and whatnot, and he's a wealth of information.
There's a good resource there then.
Yeah, 100%. I would almost suggest some social engineering books, just because they teach you how to talk to people, right? It's not necessarily because those are more about kind of manipulating people to get what you need out of them and information and that kind of stuff. But they also just teach you how to go about speaking to people and how to read people. And so those I find are equally applicable to mutual assistance groups as they are to other things and what they're actually aimed for. But some good good social engineering books might help you as well.
Yes, for sure. A lot of dynamics involved in these things. But that might be a good takeaway is, go pick yourself up a book or two and study up on it, and maybe check in the Discord, check in with Darius, and read some of his comments and see what he has to say about things. Yeah.
Justin with another good comment. How to win friends and influence people.
That's right. That's right. That's right.
It is actually a book. It's a good one.
Yeah.
It's in my Audible collection.
Yeah, I read that years ago.
Yep.
Didn't work very well, sorry, but anyway, I read it.
Hey.
Okay, how about some next steps? What are we going to do next? Start assessing your personal skills and resources. It all begins with you, really. You know, how far are you down the prepping road? What are you lacking? You know, what skills do you have? You know, I may be a mechanic, but I don't know diddly squat about electricity or whatever. You know, what skills do you have? What do you bring to the game? Because you're going to meet people and they're going to want to know about you too, right? As you talk back and forth, what do you bring to the game?
Yep.
And you know, honestly assess your personal skills. You know, I'm getting old. I can't do stuff I used to be able to do. So you know, you got to be honest about these things.
Yep.
And that's something that has to be discussed with any mutual assistance group that you're thinking about being with. You need young guys, lots of energy.
Yep. And like we talked about too, because everyone loves talking about themselves, being careful about what it is you disclose right off the hop, right? I shouldn't say everyone loves talking about themselves. A lot of people don't, but they like talking about stories and what they've done and what they've accomplished, right? So being careful about saying, here's my entire skill set in one meeting, just slowly let that kind of trickle into the group, right?
Slowly let it come out. Just take your time. We always seem like we need to get this done. We need to get it done right now. And yeah, there's a certain urgency to it, but at the same time, step back a little bit here, a little bit there. You know, baby steps, as they say, right?
You got it. Yep.
Like
And then
you said, small steps lead to significant gains.
That's right.
I like
and
that.
Then,
that's good.
Yeah, and then start approaching, you know, different folks that you may have something in common with. That's usually where it starts. Somebody, you know, maybe you might bump into somebody at the rifle range, or somebody that you go hunting with, or somebody that you farmer friend. Farmer friends are good friends, you know.
They are.
I buy my beef off this guy. Maybe we should be better friends, you know. What if, you know?
Melanie,
that kind of
thank you
stuff.
for that comment.
Yes, very important.
Yep.
You know, some of us aren't very good gardeners. Myself, you know, not very good. So
Me
it's
neither.
good to know.
I told you already. I kill everything that's green.
Oh my God! And
It's
I'm not a very
easy.
good hunter or a fisherman either. Not very good.
Oh, I'm great at fishing. I'm great at fishing for the beer in the cooler.
Fishing for the beer in the cooler.
Very, very
usually,
good at that as well.
That's the
Well,
talent
see,
most of us have. Isn't it?
Jeff, you need to go to the farmer's market and make friends with a good gardener and farmer, and then he will supply you with those things, and you will supply him with wood and company.
Yeah, there's
There you
always
go.
ways around it.
As a thought, you know, that a lot of times you're going to find that certain types of folks are kind of interested in preparedness, and typically they're your service type personnel, like your fire service, your police service, your military service, your, you know, different groups like that, like volunteer firefighters and community groups and things where they see
the other side that the regular public doesn't see, and it scares the crap out of them.
It's a certain
You beat me to it,
personality.
Jeff.
Yeah, it's a certain personality that, you know, is into that kind of thing, helping people, right? Helping people. And they can be a good asset to your group. And there might be a few loons in the crowd too sometimes, so be careful. But
That's the spice of life.
That's the spice of life, because you want, you know, medical people. So paramedics tend to be that kind of guys and gals too. Right? So anyway, just a thought.
That's true. No, it's a good topic to cover. We've kind of got over mags a few times, but it's good to always revisit it and kind of put that thought back into people's minds and kind of slow people down, because everybody always rushes for the mutual assistance group things. They think that you need this massive group, you need it yesterday, and it has to be perfect, it has to be running right now, it has to be up and going. You need all your positions filled, but we don't know what those positions are, but we need them, right? And it's slower down. This could be years. This could be years in the making.
Yeah,
right.
Exactly.
It's a lot of slowly building.
A lot of stuff.
To that, Eric, is if we keep touching on this, eventually we won't have any more of the lone wolf people. They will realize that, I need somebody else. How do I get that resource? Well, this
Mhm.
is
Right.
this is the second episode that I can think of that we've done on mag since I've been around, anyways.
Yep.
And like you said, keep doing it. Once every 18 months to 2 years, kind of thing. People can revisit it, go back. New
Mhm.
people, new panelists, new information, new perspectives. They're
Yeah.
all good things to have.
Yeah, it's a big topic. Big topic.
It's a big one. Everybody, this is where everybody kind of goes to after they go into the EMP and all the other kind of big, huge kind of, pandemics and all that kind of big giant power outages. Once they go down those rabbit holes, they go down the mag rabbit hole, right? They're huge topics to dive into, and
I would say it's
it can be overwhelming, right? They can be
Yes,
overwhelming. So
Very.
take your time, slow it down, build slowly with a couple of people, and just keep expanding as people will come to you. It's as you start building things up, people will come to you, and then you get some good stories with the group too, because you get a few loons that show up, and you're like, "Whoa, I think we avoided that guy." Right?
Tinfoil Foil hat out.
Yep. So you get some good stories doing it too. So,
But
definitely important, and definitely something we got to touch on.
and one of the great places to meet people is to go to the annual Preppers Meet. You'll get all kinds of folks there. Some folks that you're going to click with, and
that's a really good segue into upcoming events, Terry.
it is. I thought that myself. I thought,
Yeah.
So mark this in your calendar. July 7th to the 13th, we're going to have Preppers Week. So in the week prior to the weekend, we're going to do some serious training, and one of them that I can tell you right now is we're going to have a very good wilderness first aid course. We never have enough first aid training, so that's going to be something that's going on in there. More to come. So mark those dates in your calendar. If you can only come for the weekend, just come for the weekend. But you'll meet a lot of good folks there and make some good contacts. I was hoping to have a flyer here ready any day now, but we got a trial run, but it might be another week. So once we get it, we'll get it there, and he can stick it on the site for us to have a look at. But come to the Preppers Meet.
It's a fantastic event. So much fun. So many great people.
So many great people.
Oh yeah.
Was there last
And people
year,
with all kinds
I
of
had
differing
fantastic
views
time.
and such. It's great. Everybody just kind of accepts the fact that I might not agree with you. You might not agree with me. We might agree on some things together, but there's just some fantastic conversation, some great events, some great trainings. And the venue, you can't say enough about the venue. It's fantastic.
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 If I lived closer,
you can make it, Brad.
I would
You can
definitely
make it.
What's that?
You can make it.
Well, no, I'm making it again this year. But if I lived closer, I would definitely join up with that club and get myself a little cottage or cabin or something there to be able to run up there anytime I wanted to when it's open. And that
It's a
that was
super place.
fantastic place.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, they're a great host. They looked after us well last year. We're going to do another good job this year. So we're going to have a lot of fun.
Awesome.
Okay.
So, Jeff, you got a weather blurb?
I do. Before I start that, just so a gentle reminder for everybody, today was Rodent Day. If you weren't paying attention, today was the Rodent Day. And
what did the rodents say?
Well, that's funny. Even the rodents couldn't agree. So out east, you've got, of course, Shubenacadie Sam, Fred the Marmot, Lucy the Lobster. I'm not quite sure she's a rodent, but she's in the loop. They're all saying 6 more weeks of winter.
I got this one covered, Jeff. Identifies as a rodent.
There you go.
Valid point.
Carry on.
Well done.
Carry
well
on.
done. Wyerton Willie, obviously, a lot. He's one of the more famous ones around here. There's a couple out west. So Wyerton Willie and the ones out west say an early spring, and the ones out east, they're saying 6 more weeks of winter. So even the rodents can't agree on the weather, but well, I'll just kind of leave that there for now. We're going to see a slight change in the weather pattern for some people in some areas. We're at that time of the year getting closer to the spring now that we're going to see shifts in weather patterns. So presently there's a pretty significant atmospheric river dumping lots of rain and snow on the West Coast. They're talking feet in the Sierra Nevadas, which is good for them. A lot of places out there, they haven't had rain for a while. California had those big fires. They haven't had rain. They're going to start to see some rain. Too little, too late, but better than nothing. So, the middle of February. So I should say the first couple of weeks in February, first 10 days or so, it's going to be a bit up and down. Later on this week, starting tomorrow, the southern U.S. is going to start to see some temperatures go up. We could see some spots in Texas that could be approaching 80 degrees in the next couple of days. That will linger around for a few days and then disappear. The Midwest, so the Ohio Valley, the northern East Coast, could see some snow and ice midweek. Models are not 100% aligning on this. The GFS pushes the storm significantly further north, so into the Great Lakes area more as opposed to south of the lakes, and it has more of an ice component to it as opposed to just a general snow. So that would be something to keep an eye on later on into the week, Wednesday, Thursday, that type of area for that. As I mentioned, the southern plains in that and southeast seeing the warmer weather. You see that warmer weather with the cold fronts. That's what sparks off some significant weather. Believe it or not, it's February, and we could be looking at some significant weather down in the deep south. Not saying there's going to be tornadoes, but you could be seeing severe thunderstorms, hail, heavy winds for a few days, and then after that, it's going to turn cold. How cold is yet to be determined. I would not be shocked to say that probably into the second to third week of February, we could be looking at some of the coldest weather so far this winter. Models, again, are still not in alignment. We're 14 days away from that. Things can change, but keep your eye to the weather. Next weekend, there's a good chance that the Northeast may see another snowstorm. So I'm kind of only going to week to week. Next week, I'll have another one for the week after, but I try to put as much on Discord as I can. But like I said, I'm running like a madman helping out with the Snowmobile Club, and I just don't have enough hours in a day right now. So
awesome. Well, thanks, Jeff.
Every advantage you give us, Jeff, is appreciated.
100%. He's one of the few weathermen that's actually right most of the time, too.
Yeah,
I've noticed that. He needs a raise.
Yes. Kudos to
All
Jeff.
right. Well, with that, I'll bring episode number 260 of the Canadian Prepper podcast to an end. You can find the podcast on iTunes, Spotify, or your favorite podcast app, or pretty much on all of them by now. Please do submit a review wherever it is you do listen. It does encourage the algorithms to kind of promote us, and then they realize that we're talking about preparedness, and they throw us back down to the bottom of the list.
And we do record these shows live on YouTube and Facebook. If you want an early peek at the shows, please subscribe to the YouTube channel, Canadian Prepper Podcast, not Canadian Prepper, Canadian Prepper Podcast, and click the notifications tab. It gives you an alert when we're going live. Everybody here knows Sunday nights, 9 p.m. If anybody wants to reach out, you can reach me at feedback@prepperpodcast.ca, or I'm on the Discord as much as I can.
And we appreciate all the weather info, Jeff, that you give us. thatbradcpp@gmail.com, or on the Discord and Instagram is where I can be reached at.
And you can reach me on the Annual Preppers Meet Facebook page or at my email address, which is carryallblackmore@hotmail.com. I don't usually get on the Discord because I usually got too much stuff on the go. So I'm overwhelmed some days.
All right, please check out Rapid Survival at rapidsurvival.com. You can get me there on the live chat. You can also flip an email to feedback@prepperpodcast.ca. Well, thanks for joining us. Until next time, be prepared, stay safe,
And keep learning.